Kuzazangpo. Bhutan e-learning project welcomes you all to this lesson. I am Tandin Pida. This lesson is an English lesson for Key Stage 3, grades 7 and 8. The strand in focus in today's lesson is reading and comprehension. And there are 3 objectives. They are: read aloud a story fluently, use the reading strategies to comprehend a story, summarize a story using the elements of the short story. Now the elements in focus here is plot. I'll take you all through these components today. Reading fluency, using word attack strategies, use of context clues, inferring meaning, and summarizing the story. Reading fluency. What is reading fluency? Do you know what is reading fluency? Remember, this is not speaking fluency. This is reading fluency. What is it now? It is an ability to read a text effectively, reading like you are speaking. And reading fluency has 3 components, and they are reading rate, accuracy, and prosody. Reading rate refers to the speed at which you read. According to the researchers, children of your age must be able to read 250 to 300 words per minute. Do you think you will be able to do that? Check after this lesson. And accuracy refers to your ability to instantly and automatically recognize most of the words you read. Meaning here you are able to pronounce the words correctly. Usually, we come across few words that we are not able to pronounce or decode, and we may use the word attacking strategies to pronounce those words. That's all right. But if you have to stop now and then, if you have to stop quite often to pronounce the words well, then you are not a fluent reader. Now, what do you do to pronounce those words? What strategies do you use to pronounce those words? You may use the chunking strategies. Use the ideas of the root word. Use your ideas of suffixes and prefixes. By the way, what is a root word? A root word is a main word, and those little units of words in front of the main word or the root word is called as prefixes, and those words at the end of the main word is called as suffixes. So, you can use these ideas to decode the words, to pronounce the words correctly. For instance, let us look at this example, the word unexpected. Look at this. Let us say you're not able to pronounce this word. Now first you have to look at the main word. Which one is the main word here? Expect. Expect is the main word. Now which one is the prefix here? Un, right? Now which one is the suffix here? Ed. So when you read them together, what is it? It is unexpected. Unexpected. So this is how you use your knowledge of root words, suffixes, and prefixes. And this is called as chunking. And the other way that you may use to decode the words, to pronounce the words well, could be your knowledge of syllables. Let us look at these examples. Water. When you say water, how many syllables do you hear? 2, right? Wa and ta. Similarly, inferno. inferno. How many syllables do you hear in this word, inferno? There are 3 syllables in this word, inferno. Inferno. So this is how you use these strategies like chunking and the syllables to decode or to pronounce the words well. The other one is, other component of reading fluency is prosody. What is prosody? It is the ability to orally read sentences expressively with appropriate phrasing and intonation. Honestly, many of us, when we read something, we read like robots, droning from one word to another. Very monotonous. Now here, to read expressively, you need to take care of phrasing. You need to take care of intonation. What is phrasing now? Grouping words together as in speaking. Pausing appropriately between phrases, clauses, and sentences. To some extent, punctuation marks like comma, like full stop, like exclamation mark, and other punctuation marks serve as a signpost for the text break. But not all the time you can see the punctuation marks. So here you have to know how to, mark those boundaries for break. For instance, like if you read like you are speaking, your phrasing is taken care. For instance, let us look at this example, okay? How will I sound if I read this way, droning from one word to another? The 10 kids thanked the teacher for the gift. Very monotonous. But what if you read like this, like you are speaking? The 10 kids thanked the teacher for the gift. So this is how you phrase your sentences when you read. Let us look at the other example. How would I sound if I read word by word? For instance, the number of bees in the wild have been dropping for a decade. Very monotonous, quite boring, right? But how about this? The number of bees in the wild have been dropping for a decade. It sounds quite smooth and then expressive. So this is how you use phrasing. You have to read like you are speaking, not word by word. Intonation. What is it? What is intonation? I'm sure you know what is intonation. It's the rise and fall of your voice. It's the pitch of your voice. It's the tone of your voice. It's the modulation of your voice. Okay? Now, for instance, can you try to read this phrase? The first phrase, here, try to use a frightened voice. Try. Okay. Now, try to use a happy, excited voice to read this phrase. Try. All right. Is reading fluency important? Do you think reading fluency is important? Yes, obviously, it is important. Why? Because it bridges between word recognition and comprehension. Meaning, if you are a fluent reader, you can use your time to comprehend the text, to understand the text. But if you are not a fluent reader, the most of the time, the major chunk of your time is spent there trying to figure out how the word is pronounced. And you have no time to comprehend the text. So that's why fluency is important. That was the end of fluency. So henceforth, whenever you read something, be it essay or a short story or a content, text, please try to use whatever you have learned right now, like taking care of the intonation, phrasing, speed, accuracy. All right? So now let us assume that you can read a text fluently. What next? What do you have to do? Now you have to, after reading, you have to comprehend the text. You have to understand the text. Now, to understand the text, what do you do? What strategies do you use? One way is by using context clues. Now, what do you do when you come across a word where you are not able to figure out what the word means, the meaning of the word? What do you do? I'm sure you plunge into your dictionaries. I'm sure you use your electronic gadgets to look at the meaning. What if you don't have dictionaries? What if you don't have electronic gadgets? So here, you try to use context clues. Context clues provide further information about a word or phrase that helps readers understand its meaning. These clues offer insight, either directly or indirectly, into the portion of the text that is difficult to understand. Many of the times, the writers, they leave clues. You just have to read the next sentence or maybe the whole paragraph. You will, most of the time, I assure you, you will find the clues. Now, sometimes writers use synonyms as context clue. By the way, do you know what is a synonym? Words that have the similar meaning is called as synonyms. Let us read this example sentence. It was an idyllic day, sunny, warm, and perfect for a walk in the park. Now, the meaning, the synonym for idyllic is used here by the writer, perfect. His animosity or hatred of his sister divided the family. See how the writer has left a clue there, hatred. So animosity means hatred. Okay, so this is how you have to figure out the meaning using the context clues. Sometimes writer define the word itself if you read the text carefully. For instance, Wang Mo was lethargic. She didn't have the energy to get out of bed. See, the author has clearly defined the term lethargic in the next clause. She didn't have the energy to get out of bed. The dates are listed in chronological order. They start at the beginning and end with the last event. Now here again, the author has, defined what is chronological order. The doctor's handwriting was utterly illegible. No one could read those scribbles. If you look at this sentence carefully, the author has, left the clue there, defined illegible clearly there. And sometimes authors use antonyms as context clues. You know what is antonym? It's the opposite of that word. She is gregarious, unlike her brother who is quiet and shy. So gregarious here is the antonym of the words like quiet and shy. So what do you think could be the meaning of this word? Maybe good. This painting of the landscape is picturesque, while the one of the old house is just plain ugly. So the word picturesque is the antonym of the word ugly. So what is the antonym of the word ugly? It is beautiful. So this is how you decode the meaning using the context clues left by the author or the writer. Sometimes writers use explanations as context clues. For instance, the sentence, the team was elated because they just found out they qualified for semifinals. It's explained there, the meaning of the word elated. How do you feel when you get qualified for the semifinals? You feel happy. So, elated means happy. It's no surprise he winced in pain after hitting his thumb with a hammer. Again, see, you can clearly see the meaning of the word winced here. Here, winced means what? Flinched. Something in the refrigerator is so putrid, a wave of bad odor wafted out when we opened the door. Again, you can, somehow figure out the meaning of the word putrid. How do you know the meaning of the word putrid? By using the context clues here. What is the context clue given here? It is the bad odor. Okay, so putrid means bad odor or something rotten. Now, the second strategy you use to comprehend a text is inferring meaning. What is it? Figuring out something that the author doesn't say, using clues that are in the text and things from our own mind to figure out the meaning. That is called as making inferences. Now, we infer throughout the day. We make inferences throughout the day. Here, inferences means reading between the lines. We do that, don't we? We read people's mind, we read the situation. For instance, like if you see a person eating or trying out a new food and he makes a face, then from there we can make out that that person doesn't like that food without having him telling you that he doesn't like this food. So this is how you infer, make inferences. And let us take another example, like, you see someone slamming the door, bang, what do you infer from there? We can make out that that person is upset with someone or something, okay, without him telling you that he is upset. Let us look at this example. The text says, she was a bit grumpy because she was still catching up on the sleep that she lost during exam time. I think I know that exams are usually given in school, so she is probably in high school or college. Now here, if you look at the text, you cannot, it's not mentioned in the text that she is a student, but somehow you figure out that, okay, she is a student from the words like exam. Let us look at another example. Let us read this together. He placed his hand firmly on her back and ushered her hurriedly out of the door. Yes, yes, yes. I will call you soon to set up another meeting. I will, Doji said, punctuating the end of his sentence with a firmly shut door. Now, what can you infer from this paragraph? Of course, it is not explicitly mentioned there. You have to read between the lines. You try to make inferences here. So what do you think what inferences can you make from this paragraph? Were you able to make any inferences from here? Here we can make out that he wants to get rid of this person, It's not mentioned there, but his action, confirms that he wants to get rid of this person. So this is how you make inferences. And henceforth, whenever your teachers give you inferential questions, please try to, read between the lines. I have had people saying, I have had students saying, whenever I gave them inferential questions, they said, Madam, it's not there in the textbook. It's not there in the textbook. You have to, read between the lines. And the next comprehension strategy is summarization. This is not new, right? You know what is summarization. What is it? It is a short retelling of a story or text that includes only the most important information. Whenever you summarize something, whether it is a story or whether it is a paragraph or whether it is a content-based text, when you summarize, you only focus on the main details. You don't include everything that is there in the text. Now, this is how we summarize a short story. We focus on the plot. If you focus on the plot of the story, the elements of the story, you will not miss out any important details. What is the first part of the plot? It is exposition. Here, it is the beginning of the story. And here, the writer, the author introduces setting, character, and conflict. Now, setting, what is it? What is a setting? Where the story takes place, when the story takes place. And now there are two kinds of setting, backdrop setting and integral setting. Okay. Now, backdrop setting are those settings that are not important to the story. Characters. What is character? Characters are people or animals in the story, and we have antagonist, we have protagonist. Protagonist is the hero and antagonist is the villain. And the main part of the plot is conflict. So what is it? What is a conflict? It is a problem. The whole story is actually built on the conflict. So conflict is a problem. It can be tensions, it can be goals. Number 2, rising action. What is rising action? Events before the climax, characters attempt to solve the problem but fails. Now here in rising action, the characters finds ways and means to solve that problem. And the next is climax. It is the turning point. It is the point of greatest suspense or action. You can just say like the climax is the highest point of the conflict. Next is falling action. Action and events that occur after the climax. And finally, we have the resolution. Resolution is the end of the story. In resolution, the conflict, the problem gets solved. So when you are asked to summarize a story, you use the plot of the story. If you use the plot of the story, you will not miss out any important details. Okay, let us look at this example. I have particularly chosen this story, Snow White, because all of you know this story. So it will be easy for you to identify the elements. Setting, forest. And there is another setting. You must be wondering why I did not include the castle or the palace in this setting. Because that setting is a backdrop setting. It is not important to the story. But because the story is happening in the forest, so I have included forest in the setting. Characters: Snow White, the queen; 7 dwarfs, the prince. Conflict: the queen was jealous of Snow White's beauty. Rising action: she asked her hunter to kill Snow White in the forest, but the hunter did not have the heart to do that and left her in the forest. Snow White met the 7 dwarfs. Climax: the queen found out that Snow White was alive. She killed her by a poisoned apple. Falling action: the prince revived Snow White. Resolution: they got married and lived happily. Now, this summary is written using the elements that we have just looked at. Now, when you write summary, please try to write in your own words. Don't copy the words from the story and try to write it beautifully. For fear that Snow White's beauty would surpass her own, the jealous queen ordered her loyal hunter to take the princess deep into the woods to kill her. In an act of unprecedented kindness, the pitiful hunter spared her life. She found refuge in the cozy cottage of 7 friendly dwarfs. The disguised queen tricked Snow White into eating a poisoned apple and killed her after she found out that the princess was still alive. Fortunately, Snow White was rescued by a prince and lived happily ever after. See, we have not left out any important details, and we have not included any unnecessary details. So this is how you write the summary of the story using the elements of the short story. If you know the elements of the short story, it will be easy for you to summarize a particular story. We come to the end of the lesson, and I have some quizzes for you. What is a story summary? A really long and detailed piece of writing. B, the entire story told in your own words. A dumb thing that teachers make you to write the main ideas and important details of a story. Which one is the correct one? Is it A, a really long and detailed piece of writing? No, right? The entire story told in your own words. Then it becomes a retelling. A dumb thing that teachers make you to write. I leave that judgment to you. And the main ideas and important details of a story. So summary writing is, writing the main ideas and the important details. Fluency is being able to read fast only. True or false? Fluency is not just being able to read fast. You have to be accurate, meaning you have to pronounce the words well. And you also have to try to read expressively, read like you are speaking. So it is false. A strategy that can improve fluency is partner reading, audiobooks, reader's theatre, rereading, all of the above. What do you think is the answer? Okay, all of the above. You can improve your fluency by doing partner reading, by listening to the audio tapes, by conducting reader's theatre, and no one can beat this old skill, rereading. So read again and again till you are fluent. So the answer is all of the above. No matter where you go, the internet is following you. Almost every portable device is being made with an internet connection. Most TVs and many other appliances come with internet connections as well. The internet is truly ubiquitous. If something is ubiquitous, okay, which one is correct from these four choices? It is important. Okay, here now you are supposed to be making inferences, reading between the lines. Is it, or what do you think is the answer? A, B, C, and D. It is D. It is everywhere. From the passage there, from the paragraph there, we can somehow we can know that it is everywhere, reading between the lines. All right, here also I want you to make inferences, okay? Which of the following best describes your reason for attending this e-learning session? A, your government is punishing you. B, your teachers are jealous of your holidays. C, your parents do not want you to loiter around. D, you are contributing towards preventing and fighting the COVID-19 in your small ways. Which one best describe your reason for attending this e-learning session? It is D, right? D. So please take care of yourself, wash your hands, be safe. I have 3 self-assessment questions for you all. The 7th graders will read aloud the story, Somebody's Son. Now, if you have already done this story in your school, please go to the next story. And all the 8th graders, the story, Which Way? Similarly here also, if you have already finished Which Way, you go to the next story. And you read those stories with accuracy, proper speed, and prosody. You do repeated readings if you are still struggling to read fluently. And if you can, record at least a page of your reading in any electronic devices or gadgets that you have. Try to comprehend or understand the story using the comprehension strategies taught today. What are the comprehension strategies you have learned today? Use of context clues. What is the next one? The first one was use of a context clues. The second one is making inferences and summarization. Identify and write the elements of the story. After you have finished identifying the elements of the story, like we did in the Snow White story, you write a summary of the story using the elements of the story. Thank you all for attending this lesson. See you all in my next lesson. Thank you.